fellow traders, 'tis I, the Rumpled One. It's Wednesday, October 31, the year 2018. It's Halloween. Let's talk trading. And since it's Halloween, I decided to answer the question, is trading scary? Well, I guess it can be, especially if you hold certain myths to be true. I mean, I guess what's the scariest thing? You're going to get wiped out. And yeah, that could happen. I mean, you could be doing everything right, and some bank could come out and make an adjustment, like the Bank of England. And next thing you know, the pound either takes off on a tear one way or the other by 500 pips, in the blink of an eye. So, yeah, you had your stop loss set at maybe 10 or 20 pips, but sometimes price can just leapfrog and leave you broke, or even worse, can leave you owing money. So, is that scary? I mean, it could be, especially if you dwell on it. I mean, you don't have to put yourself in a position where that can happen. I mean, it can happen while you're looking at the screen. Yeah, that's true too. Like right now, something could happen and price could move hundreds of pips, in an instant. But usually if you're there watching, um, that you take some action. Sometimes you can trade accordingly. So even if it moved against you 1,000 pips, you wouldn't be wiped out. You'd be trading really light, but once again, rather than lose 100%, maybe you only lose 10% or 50%. But that's better than losing it all and actually owing money. So is trading scary? I mean, if you're trading stocks, I mean, you could have a stock halt. It happened to me once. I was, once again, foolishly, I was listening to somebody else and I started trading a stock I never traded before and I knew nothing about. Then all of a sudden, the computer seemed to have locked up. It's like, what's going on? I got a trading halt. And when it opened, I was about 5 grand down. Um, but that was my own fault. Shouldn't have been trading a stock I didn't know anything about. Shouldn't have listened to somebody else. Lesson learned, at least temporarily. Well, let's see. Is there anything else scary about trading? Well, I think any other scares might be self-induced, like the fear of missing out or the fear somebody else has a better system or indicator or knows more than you do, making more money than you are. But those are self-induced fears, and you just need to change your focus back on yourself. And if you have to, put the blinders on and not worry about other people. So, and the one thing is, if you trade without your money and risk management in place, now that could be scary. So, but we know better than that, don't we? Okay, looking at the monthly chart here on the euro yen, you can see it bounced off the bottom 160 pips. We're about almost in the midpoint here between the previous monthly candle bottom and low. So we're in that lower wick zone. On the week, you can see here we actually punctured through the midpoint and pulled back by about 32 pips. But a definite nice move out of that lower wick zone, about 70 pips. And we still have two pairs that haven't filled. They're both New Zealand pairs. So that's interesting. On the daily, you see here, we went out of the upper wick zone, good for 11 pips. We're now below the upper wick zone, good for about 6 pips, but actually there was a chance to make about 18 pips. So once again, trading that daily wick zone there was good. Euro yen only 44 pip range. Dollar yen, only 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pairs over 100, with the new beast clocking in at 194. And you can see here we have a pivot point. It was about, let's see, 3 pips. So it was taken out. So we took out the daily pivot. Had a buy zone trade, good for a profit. Buy zone trade. Looks like it was good for a profit here. Had another buy zone trade. Actually, technically, none of these were buy zone trades unless you're a really experienced trader. You can read the price action. So, for example, you see here, we put in a low, put in a lower low, came back, crossed above the low into the buy zone. That gives you the opportunity to jump in that trade. It went up. You see here, it scraped that bottom or scraped that top. Should have been out of the trade. Once again, same thing. It put in a lower low, reversed. Once again, you could have jumped in. And right here you could have been out. So those were definite buy zone trades. So here, short, that would have been a scratch, otherwise resulting in a loss. And if you took this one long here, once again, that looks like a scratch trade too. And here, it's making these lower lows. It's almost not even try if you did scratch potential loss. Here, there was a win. And with the not much of a range, only 3 pips. So if you take any of these rat zone trades, you just look to make a handful of pips, not going for the big scores. And once again, we took out the pivot there, and you can see we took it out here. Looking to take out these 2 pivots. Price action, as always, 3 ball at the top, right at the line. 2 ball at the bottom, green at the line. But you can see here, we only got that 40 pip range. So getting 10 pips is nice. Right here, Larry live trade. And you can see using the previous 5 lines, just trading with candle color at the lines. Once again, handful of pips. Right here, nice trade here. Exiting the wick zone right there. You can see up a few pips. Now, we've got a holo set up here, Larry live trade. 128.20 long trigger. Inventory reduction, you see we got a long trigger at 128.22 with the short at 128.09, but the shorts got in here around the 30.31 area. Off of that previous daily high, you can see here it just wasn't making new highs, taking that short. If it's not making new highs, it must be doing what? Making lower highs. And you can see here prices moved down about 5 pips, crossing over here. The ask got below the peak of the bid, and we're just continuing down. You see here we had a slight cross, but not much, and the down is just continuing. And playing off of the Einstein line, you see we had a trigger short, and now we're down to 15 with a cover at 17. And there was another trader was asking about something. I can switch this back to Euro Yen. They're talking about the wick zone. So what I've done is I've got a couple other wick zone indicators that I wrote in 2017, the wick zones. and then the dynamic wick zone. So right now I've got the wick zones indicator. You can see this is kind of like almost having a dashboard, but just for the one. So you can see price right here is in the lower wick zone in the monthly. Even though, and then we have price in the H4 lower wick zone. So we've got the monthly bottom here and the monthly low here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking current wick zones with this, or are we? It's been a while since I only show current period, show in zone, priority, show open. There we go. So I think if we change up to the monthly, yeah, we can see here it's the previous wick zone prices in it. I usually like to use the hourly candles. So you can specify, so we've got monthly, weekly, daily, and the H4 candle. Now you can turn that off with the click of a button, and this other indicator, the dynamic wick zone, you have to turn off and turn on the old-fashioned way. And so what that does is it shows you dynamically what wick zone price is in. So you can see here it's in the previous candles wick zone, but you can see here in the daily it's the wick zone 2 candles ago. So price is almost always in a wick zone, and so you can use this to trade off of those wick zones to decide what's happening. So you can see here it's in that wick zone area right here. So it's between here and here is that wick zone. It's already left this wick zone. So now we're entering another one. So I hope that helps those people wanting to know a little bit more about the wick zone. And let's see, we can even look at the hourly. We can look at H4. We can look at the week. So here on the week, you can see it was 7 weeks ago. We're in the wick zone here from 7 weeks ago. See, right there, price in that wick zone. So this can help you decide whether or not to take profit or to enter a trade based on the wick zones. And I hope that helps you understand the wick zones just a little bit better. And you can turn them both on, but it gets a little messy. So, fellow traders, just remember, trading doesn't have to be scary because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So, go out there and have a good time. Drain the banks on Halloween. Trick or treat.